Hi, I'm Cameron, and I don't just read comics, sometimes I watch them as well. You are listening to a super special bonus episode of Cameron Reads Comics. My friend Jesse and I are going through every episode of Disney Plus's Falcon and Winter Soldier, and we are talking about our favorite parts. If you have any questions, make sure you submit them to us by Sunday night, and we will make sure to answer them on air. So get your questions ready for next week. Just a warning, there are going to be full and complete spoilers for Falcon and the Winter Soldier Episode 2. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram accounts, as well as clobber that like button and leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Now, let's talk about the Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 2. And welcome, Jesse, back to another episode of Cameron Reads Comics. But actually, what am I even saying? This isn't even Cameron Reads Comics. This is Falcon Winter Soldier review for episode 2.
This is Jesse and Cameron watch shows based on comic books that
Yeah.
we love.
Yes, all of the above. And oh my gosh, okay,
all
fans.
of the above, like I just listed 17 things.
It's true.
It was one thing.
I still love them.
And
We're still recording, and we still love the comics. But actually, here's a quick window for the fans. I ordered the Sam Wilson Captain America trade paperback for review to be able to read it and do on the show, and I was really excited because I haven't read it. I ordered that thing a month ago, and it says the order has yet to be processed, and so
What's going on, Cam?
I don't know, but I'm about to ask for a refund, which is not something I usually do.
It sounds like some shady dealings with a shady book broker.
I've used that platform before, and now I think I'm just here you go, guys. I'm going to use the new platform that's tried and true for me, cheapgraphicnovels.com. So they're based out of this local area anyways. Not that I anticipate to get my books quicker, but I think they're more readily available to me, and I think that's going to be my new platform for collecting trades that I specifically want.
Yay.
Or local comic shops, but you can do that too. Anyways,
Let's get into it, buddy.
Anyways,
It was a great episode, wasn't it?
It really was. I think we're just gonna get into it.
Yeah, we should. Well, why are we lollygagging?
Okay,
That's what we're here for.
so we started with the new Captain America. We started literally episode kind of opens on him. We kind of get a glimpse into him. How'd you feel about his characterization?
It's like they set him up so you would like him. I felt,
Yeah.
they showed him in the locker room in his own, sitting at his old locker. He was obviously a football player, something stupid, and you're like, oh, new Cap, not that bad.
Yeah.
This guy's not that bad. He seems okay, right? Like it was weird to me because they kind of made you get to know him, and then they very soon after that made me hate his guts.
How and why?
Because he's such a smug prick.
I didn't realize, why?
Shout out, come on, dude.
Shout out to Wyatt Russell, because I think he really played that smugness very coyly. You know what I mean? Because at the very beginning, it's like, I believed him when he's saying, as the character saying, I can't be Steve Rogers, but I want to try my best. And I'm like, ooh, that's true. And I believe that when I see that character. I don't think he's, at least right now, a bad guy.
Yeah, and they set him up, in the first couple minutes, and you're like, okay, this guy seems all right. And then it's just he's got this what's the word that I'm looking for? What's the word that I'm looking for, man? It's like he's entitled to. It almost seems like he's entitled.
That's a good word, yeah.
To being Captain America, and you're just like, why? But why? They don't go into explaining enough to why he was chosen. And that entitledness and smugness that he carries makes him super unlikable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's coming from a place that he didn't do anything to deserve it. The government kind of granted him that title.
He just shows up during the fight, and he's like, "Well, we just kind of saved your asses, didn't we?" And Bucky and Falcon are like, "The fuck? Who are you?"
Yeah, and and we're going to talk about. I want to get into the therapy session, but we're not going to get there quite yet. I just really think that the whole opening sequence and like the whole characterization thus far of it's new Captain America. That's what they're calling him, but he's going to be U.S. agent, and so like look at his costume, look at the U.S. agent costume. It's the same person.
Right.
I just thought that they really did a great job of leaning into him being like. It's the government's idea of what Captain America should be and not truly what Captain America is. And I think it was very reminiscent of the first Captain America movie when he's just going on tour and not doing anything, but he's just being celebrated. You know, he was on stage.
And he there was a good exchange at first where he's saying that. It's a lot of like handshaking and kissing babies, and then his buddy who's what did they call him?
Oh my gosh.
Battlestar.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, that guy's kind of like, yo, dude, that's part of it. You know, like that's what you signed up for. That's part of your job. Like, deal with it. Suck it up.
Yeah, it is. Suck it up. And also, you know, what's so funny is we realize that, I guess, within our experience of the Avengers, it is so controversial to be an Avenger. You know what I mean? It is like so they're not as celebrated as much as you think they are. You know, people want autographs and everything, but there's just so much controversy. Like, nobody celebrates the Avengers quite like that. Like, we see Tony Stark being celebrated like that.
Yeah, sure.
But not like, you know, Falcon's like, you know, he can't get the loan on his house.
Yeah, they made that pretty apparent in the first episode that, like, yeah, we love you, but, like, you're not getting any special treatment. And then you saw it again with the cops.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that was a wild scene. And it went a different, like... Disney almost, you know what I mean, like opened the door for them to explore some different content there, but then they kind of twisted it too,
yeah.
Which was very interesting.
But even that, where he had to come, you know, New Cap, we're going to just keep calling him New Cap because he hasn't been named U.S. agent yet.
You're right.
So New Cap has to come like bail Bucky out of jail, and he's just like, I got you out of jail. You're like, I hate you.
That's when he's smug, yeah. And it's like that. I just think that's.
Is that when he tells him to stay out of his way? Like,
no, it was after that.
Yeah, but there was so many times where he was just smug guy.
Yeah,
Smuggy McSmuggerson.
It was just like, you know, and I think that's a place of the disdain that, you know, both of those two have about that character too. Is that like his life has already been like so they have red carpets for him, and that's not consistent with the Avengers experience that we've had. So. I'm just so interested to see that, and like you can see that dynamic. It's almost in the smugness. Everything has come so easy to him so far. Like we have the scenes of Sam trying to throw the shield, and then we have New Cap throwing the shield, and it's like what?
Yeah, I wish they would have gave me a little bit more of a backstory of, you know, him being a little more like combat ready or showing some stuff. Because when he flies in and they're fighting on top of the trucks, he just seems so OP to me. Like right off the bat, I'm like, why is this guy like? Mm-hmm. He's like kicking these other super soldiers' ass all of a sudden. He's just a normal dude. And I know that Sam's a normal dude too.
Yeah.
But he's got like a suit that helps. You know what I mean?
He can fly, yeah.
New Cap literally has a shield. That's it. And there's nothing other than, you know, which it does show after he loses the shield when he throws it down to save Battlestar. The chick just yeets him off the back of the truck. Mm-hmm. He's like, let's go. And she's like, you ain't got no shield now, boy.
Yeah.
Boom. But he was a little OP for like that fight scene, and it bummed me out. Like it didn't fit for me.
Yeah,
right? It was weird.
I don't know. I didn't think he was like OP, but like I get where you're coming from. I just think it's part of the character that everything looks like it's coming so easy to him, and that's what makes us dislike him more.
Yeah.
So I think it plays into our disdain for him. Okay, so next. How'd you feel based on that scene? A great transition. How'd you feel about the Flag Smashers being super soldiers?
I like that they are. You know, I don't want them just to be like a rogue group of like guys that are, you know, just doing stuff. And I mean, they got to be, you know, powered up somehow. It'll be interesting to see how they got those powers. Where they didn't explain that.
No. Yeah, that's why they're talking to Zemo.
Right. Yeah, they show him. But it was almost like when they show up to that guy's house when he's like cooking them like chicken liver and stuff, and they're like, oh, thank you. Gross.
Yeah.
You can almost like relate with them. Like they're clearly the antagonists, but like they don't seem, you don't hate them.
No.
Like you hate that New Cap.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, no, I think I agree. Like,
but I liked all their characters, you know. I like that she was in the truck and she was like kind of like coyly like, oh hey, yeah, I might need help, and then she like smiles and she's like, haha, sucker, boop.
And then You know what I realized in that fight scene too is that Bucky, or even in that whole sequence, because it opens up with Falcon just not revealing his plan to Bucky and then just jumping out, gliding through, la la la.
That scene though, the best part of that scene was Bucky ripping off the sleeve of his leather jacket to expose his arm. Like, well, did you need to do that? Lose. It's cool. Now there's your arm.
How's that? Well, how's this? Did he need to do that? But also, did he need a sleeve on that arm anyways?
No, but couldn't he have just taken his jacket off?
No.
Just gonna take this. Nope, just gonna rip the arm off.
I'm down with that look. I'm like, I really like Bucky's costume.
Absolutely.
But so with that, we see how they are both very different than Steve Rogers, Captain America, because obviously they're different characters. I get that. But even the way that they're approaching everything, like Sam is very methodical and meticulous. He has a plan. Bucky's like, okay, give me a parachute. They're like, we don't have parachutes. And, it's only 200 feet up in the air. And then Bucky, because Cap in the first Winter Soldier movie, jumps out of the plane without a parachute, lands in the water, has the whole boat break-in scene. Bucky tries to do that, and he just jumps out of the plane, falls down.
And Sam's like, I got that all on video.
Oh, exactly. And so it's like, oh my gosh, Bucky, I think, I'm really interested in this character because he's so clunky, and he's such a brute, and I don't know.
There's a point where Sam mentions that to him too. I forgot. I watched it twice and I still forgot. He says something about this is my way, your way is just kind of going in and bashing stuff.
True.
How do you feel about their interaction with each other?
Their dynamic, I like it. I like it so much, and I like that we're. Well, also, I'm so glad we finally had an episode where we got to spend time with them together.
Yeah,
because that didn't happen
multiple occasions too. Them just walking.
Yeah.
And Cap was like, you need a ride? And they're better off. They're like, no, we'll walk the 25 miles to the airport. We don't want to ride with you.
Exactly. I think Bucky and Sam in themselves are just so, I don't know, they're interesting, and I think they're likable, and I didn't realize how different they were until now, because the Civil War kind of stuff is funny. You know what I mean? It's one-liners towards one another.
Right, when they're in the car, kind of going back and forth with each other.
Yeah, now this one's it hits deeper. It's whoa.
It's still very brotherly, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're banter and the way that they're messing with each other or trying to outdo each other almost. It works really well. I really enjoy it.
Well, then we can just go right into it, too. How'd you like the therapy scene?
Therapy scene was the best scene in the entire episode.
It would absolutely, and it was in the trailer, and we were like, "What?" And then
I don't remember seeing it in the trailer, but them having to get close to where their knees are touching at first, and she's closer, and they are literally sitting they're touching ball sacks, dude.
Yeah,
they're so close. They're so close, and it was so great. Are you guys having a staring contest? And they're like, no.
No, yeah.
But they totally were, dude. Just straight brotherly stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Staring contest.
And oh my gosh. I just really find all those moments with Bucky priceless. And him needing therapy and because I'm also what amount of therapy? I don't want to discredit obviously all of psychology because I'm just coming from someone that really doesn't understand that. But I'm how much therapy is this guy going to need? You know what I mean?
A lot.
Exactly. I don't understand how just sitting in a chair and talking to someone else will resolve his brain infiltration, lobotomy. Anyways,
it's just like you and I doing therapy right now.
This is mine. Yeah.
I'm just sitting here in a chair and you're just talking to me.
I just want to talk about
I'm here for you, baby.
Bucky tearing off his sleeves. Also, oh wait, really quick, I wanted to ask you last week, who do you prefer? Sam or Bucky? And that can be either from the series or the comics.
I really like them both. I really, really like them both. I think it depends on the tone of the episode. I don't prefer either one from the books or any of the old movies. I like them a lot. Both. I mean, I think I lean a little bit more into Bucky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, the White Panther call was so awesome. Wasn't it great? He's like, oh, okay, White Panther. He's like, White Wolf. And he's like, what?
Yeah, he's like, you go to Wakanda one time. And then it's like, oh, he actually has a code name.
Yeah, totally. It was so good. And then, because he says that because he's like, oh, look at you being all stealthy, White Panther. And then in the next beat, Falcon showed up right behind Bucky, and Bucky didn't expect him. He's like, where'd you come from? Mm-hmm. So Sam's just as sneaky too. But that was so great. And I think maybe, I I like Bucky's kind of he's a little bit mysterious because you can't fully figure out what's going on in his head.
Yeah, he really is.
You know, so I think I would lean more towards Bucky.
Yeah, and also like we can't discount like Bucky's origin story too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like playing into like Winter Soldier as a film and like what he's been through. The legacy of Bucky is incredibly different than the one of Sam. But you know, I don't know. If I'm watching them on the screen, I think I like Sam more because. Like literally, his flight sequences are so freaking cool to watch,
really cool.
and that's enough of a reason for me. I'm like, I just like it, and also too, I wanted to ask his costume. How did you feel about that?
Was there something I missed about it?
It's new.
No, it looks great.
Yeah.
I thought we talked about that last episode. It looks great. The wings are cool. What do you feel about our little buddy Red Wing getting smashed?
I was gonna ask you. Okay, I certainly have loved all of the arcs with Red Wing, just being like, hey, like in Civil War, you know, when
Bucky doesn't like him.
Yeah, like Bucky doesn't like him, Black Widow doesn't like him.
Yeah.
Like he's like, his name is Red Wing, and I'm like, that is so lame. But like how they kind of have used also like another reason Bucky didn't like him. I thought the setup was really good because. I think in that scene you're saying where he's like, you're a breach, you can go up and beat up stuff.
Yeah.
And Bucky's like, it's only 2 guys. And then Red Wing like x-rays the wall and it's like 5 guys.
Yeah, he's like, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 guys.
Yeah. And so like Bucky.
And he swats at Red Wing too. He's like, get out of here.
And Bucky hating Red Wing, I'm like, oh, I love that. And like how they set that up to him getting smashed, because it's like even as early as, hey man, he's like, don't touch Red Wing, as Sam was repairing him in the first episode.
Right.
Like, I love it. So
I mean, she just caught him and smashed him straight out of the air. And of course, I mean, he's a little piece of robot tech. Sam was clearly fixing him. Can be remade, so
yeah,
he'll be back.
I just love
Red
him.
Wing 2.0.
I love Red Wing. Oh my gosh. And you know, I don't know if I've ever told you this. Red Wing isn't like in the robot, like in the comics, technically a robot. It is Falcon's pet bird that like is his sidekick.
Yes, but Falcon from the books is so much different.
It is.
You know, like even his like original like outfit that's like not even
green and orange. Yeah.
And it's like he has like they're not like metal wings. They're like real, I don't know, cloth.
Yeah, like feathers.
Yeah, like feathered wings. It's pretty goofy.
It's pretty sick, actually. No.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, sorry. We'll get back into the episode, but those are some points I wanted to hit. So okay. Before the therapy scene, we had when Bucky and Sam getting arrested. How do you feel about the depiction of how the country treats the Avengers as opposed to how it treats their Captain America? Do you think it's more true? Do you think it's like... How do you feel about that? Like, that was kind of a big scene.
How do you mean? How do you mean?
Like, the Avengers are getting arrested, and their Cap is allowed to parade around and have the ramifications and... Or like and like hang out. I just mean like I think that scene. Maybe let me ask a different question. Anyways, you know, post 2020, just in the current climate right now,
yes.
And this doesn't need to be political, but I mean, there's a very real situation of Falcon potentially being arrested. You know what I mean? Just for being
a black man.
For being a black man. You know what I mean? Despite put your politics aside, that's, you know, it's a thing that happened.
Yeah, and that's what they were aiming to do. They saw a white guy and they perceived that he was getting harassed by a black man.
Yeah.
And they rolled up and acted like you would think police might act.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a good scene, and Bucky was like, dude, and it blows my mind that it's like, you don't know who this is?
Yeah.
And then one cop has to tell the other cop, like, yo, it's Sam Wilson, man. And he's like,
man.
oh shit, sorry. And in that aspect, they treated him bad at first, but then once he realized he was an Avenger, I think that the tone shifted.
Yeah.
And then they arrested Bucky.
And then they arrested Bucky,
for missing his therapy, which was a little it was a little funny. It was, I mean, they had to get into that therapy session somehow, but he had a warrant out for his arrest because he missed a mandated therapy session. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
it's fine.
The reason they wrote that, like the way they wrote that, I really liked, because it was like, oh, court mandated therapy. Yeah, that's like missing your parole officer. And it's a condition of his, you know, them taking away all his crimes or whatever.
Yes, him being pardoned for sure.
Thank you, pardon. And
but I did like that scene, and I'm glad that they did it. Mm-hmm. You know,
because I'm like, that's For a franchise this big, it's kind of easy to be apolitical, and like even the kind of political stuff they tackled has been a lot broader. You know what I mean? A lot more general, just meaning like, wow, do you feel safe from your government? And they don't make it like that intimate. I feel like that was one of the most intimate moments of a political statement that Marvel and Disney's ever made. You know, so
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very interesting, and I just thought it needed to be talked about. But now I didn't even write down a question. How do we feel about the scene before that, where they go see the first Captain America, like a testing subject that had the super soldier serum? His name is Isaiah Bradley, and he appeared in a comic called Captain America: Red, White, and Black.
Okay.
And so that's who that was. I had to look it up.
Sure. Yeah. And Bucky knew about him, and he had to go. Not prove to Sam, but he had to show Sam, that I guess that there was other super soldiers.
Yeah.
Correct. And then obviously that's where the argument comes from, because Sam was like, why wouldn't you tell me about this? Or how did I not know? You know what I mean? And then they started arguing. I liked that whole beat, to where they went to his house, and talked to him. And he was kind of like, man, I want to be left alone. And then told him to leave, and then segued into that scene with the officers. The episode was, and that part of it was great. I was very glad that they did it that way.
Yeah, it was. And also I like the way Marvel balanced that. It was very serious. You know what I mean? That was that 5-minute window was very serious, and then we kind of just went to the therapy scene. And
it was a very serious tone with them addressing racism and police. I'm not going to say police brutality, but the way that police treats certain people in this country. And then they went into the therapy session, and then they made it light.
Yeah,
but it was a very serious tone for that whole part. Like I said, again, I'm glad that they did it, and then I'm glad that they actually went into the therapy session and lightened it up. And it was great because she's like, "All right, Bucky, let's go." And he's like, "Oh shit!" And then she's like, "Sam, you too." And he's like, "What?" Yeah. I'm like, "I'm all right," And she's like, "Nope, let's go."
And then I like how within that therapy session too, one of the things, the way that Sam and Bucky view it, like the whole issue as being like reconciled, is with him saying, "Oh, like how about we just get this damn thing done and shelve our issues, and then we never have to see each other again." You know what I mean? Like they think that's resolution, and he's like, "There, I feel much better." Like
I just hope that they don't, the whole like buddy cop brother thing. I hope they don't drag it out like too long to where they're just kind of like, "I hate you," because they don't hate each other, man.
They don't. By the end of this, they're going to be BFFs.
Of course. How did you feel about when they're in the plane and Sam calls him Buck? He goes, "Come on, Buck," and he's like, "Don't call me that." He's like, "Steve called you that." He's like, "Yeah, but you don't know me."
Yeah,
But it's kind of funny because you're like, he knows you, buddy. Like we're like 6 years into this now, right? Like
yeah. I think.
Well, they were gone for 5 years. But.
Yeah, but even so, I get it. They also, I didn't realize, but they both had their first appearance in the same movie,
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, so
I went back and watched a couple scenes.
It's a good movie. But yeah, so it's.
And then I went back and watched a couple scenes of Civil War too.
Good.
Because I had to.
I just like that tongue-in-cheek stuff because, again, like you say, I love that. It's very brotherly because Sam is just like your brother would know things to know what to say to get under your skin.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I don't even think he wanted to call him Buck or he would have preferred that. I think he just knew how to get under his skin.
And he did. He was like, "Don't call me that."
Yeah, I loved it.
And then he made fun of Sam. "What's your plan?" "I don't have a plan." "Steve always had a plan." And he's like, "Well, damn it, I'm not Steve."
Oh, well, oh my gosh. Now I think
you know what? How did you, the first interaction between them two so far in this entire series was Bucky walking in saying, "Why'd you give up the shield?" That was his first thing.
I loved that. And, the great scene of Bucky watching the new Captain America be paraded around, and he's like, that's not what Steve would have wanted.
Do you know what I liked from that scene, too? Bucky was in his apartment, sitting on the floor, because he doesn't have any furniture.
That is, yeah.
Did you realize that? There's no furniture in his apartment.
I realize that now, but I wasn't like explicitly like, oh, I was like, oh, he's sitting on the floor.
He's just a guy that's been so, like used, and his brain's been so scrambled that like he doesn't need like material things. He's like, I can just sleep on the floor and sit. I don't need it.
Yeah,
I loved the emotion in that scene with him though. He was watching TV, and he felt some type of way watching that John Walker, right?
Yeah.
He felt some type of way watching John Walker up there on the TV, man. He did not like it.
You could see his heart breaking.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he went straight at Sam too. Why'd you give up the shield?
And he's like, because Bucky, unlike a lot of Avengers, can say that's not how Steve would have felt, because there's nobody that knows Steve better.
Right.
And so, because, you know what I mean, if you know someone, I guess, pre their super soldier serum, you know them, like, in their core. And so that scene I thought was really, really, really well done. And, like, Bucky's motivation. Okay, well, wait, we even talk about, in the therapy session, they actually got to, like, the core issue. Because Bucky says, if you're willing to give it, because, you know, why do you care so much about the shield? Like, what about me doing what I want and what I think is right? That's what Sam was saying. And then Bucky says, because if you give that up, you know, you're giving up, you know, what he believed in. And he believed in me. So what does that make of me? I was like, oh, like, first time, you know, we had a breakthrough, and then Sam kind of dismisses that because he doesn't want to shoulder that responsibility, understandably.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I thought that scene was like, you know, again, wow, now that I think about it, it was levity, but then it really brought us back into the narrative of what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I loved it.
Do you think... So, can we go back to Battlestar? Is he a character?
Yes, he is a character. Okay, so Bucky has had, like Captain America and other people, because they're in the comics, there's more than one super soldier too, but even more than one person who's taken on the Cap mantle. Battlestar is the guy, I didn't write his name down. He's one of the people that has taken up the identity as Bucky. So in the comics, he's actually like, Bucky is a title, not... So James Buchanan Barnes is a character, but, you know, for Captain America, it's like Batman and Robin.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
right.
you can be Bucky,
right.
but with not technically being Bucky.
So those two are just the opposites of Sam and Bucky, right?
Yeah.
They're just, you got Sam and Bucky, and then you got Cap and Battlestar. White guy, black guy, white guy, black guy.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they're gonna move forward with this government, like government hero thing, right? So like Battlestar and New Cap are like the new government heroes, and the Avengers are kind of like the rogue heroes, OG heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if they're gonna kind of set up a new type of Civil War type deal.
I think they will, and if you want to read this story, we totally can. There's a series called Dark Avengers,
mm-hmm.
where the government pretty much takes over their... Or it's not the government, but at one point, and because comics, Norman Osborn is the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. Or he has his note. He has his
because comics. I love how you explain that one.
Like, because comics, he's the head of... It's actually an organization.
The Green Goblin is the head of S.H.I.E.L.D.
He's running Hammer. That's what it's called at the time. And so Hammer, for public interface, like safe face, makes his own team of Avengers, but he doesn't reveal who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But it's he pretty much just dresses supervillains up in, you know, Avengers gear. So
yeah.
Bullseye is Hawkeye. Venom, Matt Gargan, the Scorpion, is pretty much has the Venom symbiote at a time.
Mm-hmm.
He really like makes, you know, he injects him with some super whatever serum, and he is able to just look like alien suit Spider-Man, which is normal. And then all these people, like other supervillains, dress up as like Draken, I think, Wolverine's son.
Yeah.
He's
mm-hmm.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they just put him in the costumes, and that's actually where Iron Patriot comes. Norman wears Iron Man, pretty much builds his own Iron Man armor, and he's Iron Patriot. So
I mean, do you think that could be a direction that they're going in?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was thinking that, and then I saw something else too of the, like, you know, going into like the whole She-Hulk thing, how like she's a lawyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like she might have to like defend some of the non-government superheroes in court because they aren't going by what the government wants them to do.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know. Who knows?
It is.
We can speculate on where they're gonna go, but we're usually wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the one thing I'm like, ooh. I guess I got two. Okay, also the best line of the therapy scene. I'm glad we talked about this for the song. When Sam calls him Freaky Magoo, I just died.
Yeah, you text me and you're like, was that bad? Did you not like that? Or was it?
No, I loved it.
You loved it. Okay.
He's like, oh, well, you got to sit me here next to Freaky Magoo. And I was like,
yeah. Okay, I thought you were saying, because I was saying how much I didn't like New Cap, he's just so. I was like, I hate him, and you're like, for me, it was the Freaky Magoo thing, and I thought you were saying you hated that. I was like, that was pretty goddamn funny.
I'm like, I had finished it, and I was like, oh man, that's so funny. New Cap, he's so dislikable, but he's still likable. Like, they gave him an arc. You can see from his perspective how he wants to help them. He's like, yo, if we just partner up, we could get this thing done. And he's like, but he doesn't understand like why they don't like him. He feels like he's earned a title, but he was given the title. The title wasn't like, it's not to be earned. Like, Steve is the only one who can grant you that.
And he gave it to Sam. He gave it to Sam.
Yeah, literally.
It's Sam's.
And Sam,
and that's Bucky's problem.
Yeah.
That's Bucky's overall problem with Sam.
Absolutely. And so,
like, if people are wondering why there's animosity and they're arguing so much, like, Bucky's main underlying problem with Sam is that Steve gave him this mantle and he didn't take it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, fundamentally. And it's just, that's true to Bucky. That's true to Steve. We actually got to wrap up, though. So,
Don't you rush me.
More things to talk about, gladly.
Of course.
I got 2 more questions for you. Are you glad that Zemo wasn't in, he was in the second episode, but he wasn't really in the second episode. Are you glad they haven't shown him yet?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yep.
I'm like, give me that slow burn. And then how do you feel about the reasoning in which they're going to go see him?
Explain that to me.
So they found out that the Flag Smashers have the super soldier serum.
Mm-hmm.
Why? How? They're going to go to the one guy who knows everything about Hydra's secrets, who is Zemo.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the reason they're going to go see him, because they're like, okay, we're going to go to the one dude. And then Sam appropriately says, oh, you want to go sit in a room with this guy? Because last time that happened, it did not go well for Bucky,
Yeah, he activated him and made him start murdering people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
Do you think Zemo's going to end up taking the super soldier serum? Serum?
I don't think he's going to take it. I think you know what I think, though, is someone texted Carly Morgenthau, who is the head of the Flag Smashers, the girl.
Yes.
When the Flag Smashers were like a person in the comics, because in the comics they're not a gang, it's just a dude. That guy's name is Carl Morgenthau, which is funny enough. So the leader is Carly. Greatness.
Yeah.
And so I think she got a text that said, hey, like, you took something that was mine. I'm going to go after you. And it said it's from no one, or like unknown number.
Yeah. What was that about? Do you know what is that?
I think that's Zemo.
Zemo saying that you took the serum from me?
I think it's either Zemo or who's the other guy, or U.S. agent. Like we could find out what's his face. John Walker's up to something
But they also haven't introduced Sharon Carter yet either.
You're right.
Could it be her?
Oh my gosh, it could be her.
Right? I mean, next episode for sure. We're on
sure
episode
hope
3.
so.
Sharon Carter's coming.
She's one of my favorite characters. Like I like her in Captain America lore. You know what I mean? I like Cap, and then I like Sharon. Like,
and they made I don't remember, director, producer, writer, showrunner, whoever said that, like, hey, yes, she, whatever, she's coming soon enough, and like we made her really badass.
They
went out of their way to make sure that they said, like, she's a badass in the show, which is fantastic. Love it.
Yeah, in the trailers.
The text could have been from her, maybe. I don't know.
No, that's a very good perspective too, because I'm like, ooh, because I want Zemo to. I really just want. He's my favorite, so I just want him to be like, give me a very good arc with him. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, they will.
I trust. I totally trust, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want. I want him to be behind all of the Flag Smashers, and just by his way of saying 3 words or something. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He's like, oh, it's crazy that life
Freaky
is better.
Magoo.
Yeah. He's like, he says Freaky Magoo, and Bucky's activated, and I'm like, stand up, applause. Last question: what would you rate this episode out of 5?
I really enjoy the show, man. Like,
it's so good.
It is so good. It's exactly what I wanted. It is so much fun. I love their interaction. I love that they tackled some serious tones with this one, but it was also super funny throughout. I would say it's 4.5 still, 4.5.
Wow.
I can't go 5 yet.
Yeah.
But there was a couple things that I didn't like tonally with New Cap, and then just a couple little holy things that don't make it a perfect episode. But I really enjoy the show, man. It's very, very, 5 being an A+. I mean, 4.5. It's an A. It's not an A-. It's an A. Solid A.
Honestly, I'm going to give this one 5 because literally,
and I won't argue with you, man. It was a fantastic episode.
It was. I see what they're trying to do, and like I just think if there's a story that you're trying to tell, this has always been my parameters. If there's a story they're trying to tell and I can tell what they're doing and they're doing it well, it's they're nailing the tones. And so I'm like, I can see what they're trying to build with this new Cap, and I like it. All the action sequences, amazing. Like Falcon getting pushed off the bus, and then like you see his wings open up. Those in the trailers, but it's like he gets pushed off the side of the truck. He opens his wings like right before he catches the ground and like flies away. I was like, oh my, that's just the coolest sequence. I like the coordinated like fights, and then nailing down the Bucky Sam arc.
The thing that I missed on the first watch through, but I caught it on the second, on the truck fight, Bucky grabs the shield and he hands it back to the new Cap. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Like he actually hands it and he flips it back to him. They're fighting together for a second.
Yeah.
You know, which is another fun little thing. If you blink, you miss it.
Yeah, no,
You know
and he makes
so fast.
He made a face too.
Yeah.
Like when he did it.
Yeah.
So which is so good.
But yeah, man, I won't argue with you. 5, sure. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
I can totally see why you would put it there.
I'm like, it's just, again, giving us the show we wanted to see. So, all right, Jesse, we will be back next Tuesday to talk about, Falcon Winter Soldier. Make sure to like, subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you're on iTunes, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. And we didn't get any questions this week. So, if you have questions, DM me, DM Jesse, at Cameron Reads Comics, or email us at CameronReadsComics@gmail.com. Love you, mean it. Bye.
Bye.